I'm not sure how many of you will recognise where exactly I am right now, but hopefully some of you do. It's a long way from just about anywhere. So I'm down in Albany in Western Australia and standing outside what has to be one of the best little finds that I've come across this summer, which is the Devotee Wine Bar. It's right down here. Behind you is the port, beautiful harbour, but behind me, out the back of Devotee, are the boys from Xabregas, and they've pulled together a tasting of Rieslings designed to sort of, I guess, just crack the mould open a bit and start to ask what Riesling can be. So let's go inside and find out. Come on inside the wine bar. This place is seriously fantastic. They have a great wine list, good looking staff, look at these guys, beautiful coffee, and this great tapas menu. We've set the boys up in the corner with a few brown paper bag bottles of Riesling to do our little tasting. So let's go and say g'day. Marty.
G'day mate, how you going?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
G'day,
Paul.
Nick.
All right boys, so what have we got? We've got 6 Rieslings.
Yep, bit of a snapshot of everything across the board.
Everything across the board.
International, local and national.
The Riesling Massive. All right, so let's hop in and see what you've got for us. So 6 Rieslings, Style Wars, no holds barred, good luck. 6 Rieslings go in.
6 come out in a
6
different
come out.
version. Much different version than it goes in.
Nice fragrance, really. It's like straight away, that's beautifully fragrant Riesling, isn't it?
Yeah. Good hit.
Apples,
Yeah, a little bit of spice,
pears.
bit heady, like nice alcohol coming through there.
So this wine has plenty of texture. It's got, there's a phenolic sort of texture. So phenolics are slightly drying, sort of grippy, mouth-filling sort of textures and flavours. It doesn't go bitter, but for me, there's a weightiness. There's a bit of a burliness and quite a richness about this wine.
Absolutely.
And the alcohol's the alcohol's up there a little bit,
Yeah,
and it's
showing
sort
a
of
bit.
pushing that texture on as well.
Probably not cut from the normal cloth. I reckon it's a bit different.
All right.
But yeah.
Number 1 is Marilla Muse Series 2008. That is from Tasmania.
South.
All right, second wine, let's go. Yeah, texture, I mean, Riesling, I think a lot of people don't necessarily think a lot about texture. In Australia, we've always been taught, it's about the fineness and about all of the things that aren't there and how precise you can make it, a bit like Hunter Semillon. And I think, the reason we're doing this tasting is that the mould's been broken, the egg's been cracked.
Absolutely.
So
that's right about it. Back to some really fineness. Perfume,
Very
florals.
different to the last one. Very different.
It's quite spicy, isn't it? It's,
Absolutely.
so I'm thinking more, maybe different sort of soils to the last wine, and
Yeah.
something that gives a wine a lot of that fragrance and spice.
Probably a little, much lighter, much finer than that wine in terms of its structure and backbone. Lacy acid, yeah,
Yeah, phenolics don't really
account in this
don't
one.
really weigh in, do they?
More fruit.
More chiseled finish too, so it's sort of it's sculpted in on the finish, whereas that last wine had that sort of bigger, heavier sort of back end.
Yep.
I like that wine.
Yeah, really
I like it
floral,
too.
delicate, feminine. I like it.
All right, what is it? We like it, and it is 2010 Cherubino Porongarup Riesling.
Yeah, he's doing good things, Larry.
Within the bottle's depths, the wine's soul sang one night. Charles
sweet.
Baudelaire. I reckon
Sweet.
Charles Baudelaire must have been here at some stage in this back room of Devotee. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. It looks like that, mate. It
Right.
looks like.
He took a lot of
Wine
absinthe,
number 3.
I think. Baudelaire was like crazy on absinthe. I think he actually went mad.
We're trying to do that on Riesling.
You're going crazy on Riesling. All right.
Okay.
So
More
this-
traditional, that baked bread. I like
Yeah,
that.
baked bread, lemons, limes, straight up and down. Bit of your, more what you might call missionary position sort of Riesling character.
It is sick.
Straight, like very citrus, straight up and down, lemons, limes.
Just the way I like them, actually.
It's very clean. Hey, missionary can be fun.
It's like a new woman every night. Missionaries. Right.
I like the balance in that wine.
Bit of RS kicking, but
Yeah.
lots of kind of lacy acid, big acid bomb.
I didn't
Not
expect the
completely
sweetness.
bone dry, no.
Lots of acid. I didn't expect the sweetness. Right, it's drying though. It's got a real. There's a sugar through the middle, but the palate really sort of really dries and sort of I don't know. It has
Finishes off, doesn't it? With a bit sweet and sour, a little bit more savoury.
Yeah, it's like the wine. It's almost like the wine doesn't finish. It sort of sits up and then almost like freezes itself, and it doesn't follow through and push through on the finish.
So you're saying it really lingers.
No, I'm saying it doesn't. I'm saying
No,
it goes.
like a train.
Right, okay.
Along on the palate.
And what's causing
Acid,
it to
sweet,
do that,
acid,
you think?
sweet.
I don't know. It just sort of goes. It goes 2/3 of the way across the palate,
Yeah.
and it stops.
Yeah.
And then if the finish was here, it doesn't happen.
Right.
The sugar pushes the texture out in the middle palate.
Yep.
And it's very nice. It's very clean. It's got lots of attractive sort of characters, but.
Bit arms and legs, I think.
I wanted something else to happen on the finish, and it didn't sort of happen.
Right.
That is. Oh, I know what that is. That's the new Grosset Off Dry 2010 Clare Valley Riesling. So that's from Watervale. That's a big step for Grosset. One big step for Grosset, one small step for mankind. You know, like
The king.
But off dry in Clare's an interesting thing. It's it's a very new thing for the Clare Valley.
Because their wines have been traditionally dry.
Yeah.
Part of the evolution maybe that
Of
dry
Australian
style,
Riesling sort of
Aussie
thing?
dry style maybe, may not work for everything off dry.
Off dry has been more a European type of adventure.
Yeah, it has. It just doesn't. That one's so perfectly sculpted and so focused. I think the sugar then sits around it a little bit, and I want something more on the finish. Anyway, that's his first crack. So,
Yeah.
all right,
It's a nice wine.
nice wine. All right, wine number 4. This is a Riesling, by the way.
We're talking
They're all
Riesling.
Rieslings. Because there is only one variety, Riesling. That's what I think.
You're a parochial, mate.
I
You're
am.
too parochial.
I love my Riesling.
Okay.
So this reminds me a bit more of the second wine in terms of the spice and sort of fragrant lift. It's sort of there's like more stone fruits than citrus.
Yep.
Pretty attractive. It smells good.
I got an inkling about this.
You think it's one of yours? All right, let's end it right there. Yes, it is.
Ta-da!
Xabregas, X by Xabregas, Fig Tree Riesling. So that's a single vineyard. Went to that vineyard yesterday with these guys. Really interesting aspect. Lovely soils. This coffee rock sort of soil that's quite common around here, and a very bloody big fig tree where the wine takes its name from. I'll be back in a few weeks to try and.
Oh, we're going to send you some of those
Send me
figs.
some figs.
Yeah.
Send
They're not
figs.
quite ripe yet.
Please send figs. I love the stone fruits in this wine. You know, it's like if you think about all the fruits in the world that you love to just sort of eat. You know, like if you got up every morning and they gave you a perfectly ripened example of every fruit there is, you'd be reaching for the stone fruits. I reckon pretty quickly. They're delicious. So this has got those nectarines and white peach and characters. I mean, you see that in Chardonnay sometimes. You see it in Viognier and other sort of things. Riesling. You don't often expect this in Australia. Like it's more maybe a Germanic sort of character that you get that stone fruity spectrum of aromas and flavours in Riesling.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see it.
Great vintage over here, and that's why I think these two are doing well in the tasting.
So you're
2010 was
saying
great.
this is a bit to do with the climate of here versus Clare. That's why these wines are doing something different to this Clare wine, basically.
Yeah, not just the climate, probably the soils as well. I mean, I'm not sure about the soils for this vineyard.
More granitic.
More
Yeah.
granitic, so that gives it that really spicy, fragrant sort of lift, those granite soils. Whereas these soils here seem to give that nice, there's a generosity and a nice textural roundness and a very complete sort of palate texture.
Yep.
All right,
Moving
let's
right
go.
along.
Now, we're in non-screw cap territory here, so
It's a bit of a giveaway.
don't know who's putting wine under cork, Riesling under cork in Australia still.
Morons, if they do. Morons.
We will hunt them down with a knife. We will find them.
Wow.
I like that nose.
So straight away, very different. Less about fruit, more savoury characters, more stony. There's also, like you see a bit of leesy characters. So lees are the yeast cells after they finish fermenting. This one looks like it's been left on lees and sort of, they add a creamy sort of almost bready sort of character.
Texture as well, that's what we were saying before. You
got a
know,
lot
Nick,
of
in my
texture.
days of winemaking, we were taught, that is a negative. Now we're looking more and more interestingly at trying to eliminate some of that fruit and go with those sort of textures, because I think that's a much more drinking wine than a lot of those.
It's very. The alcohol seems to be quite a part of that wine, but it's got this wonderful like yellow. I'm gonna say yellow fruits, like be it melons or yellow sort of
Bit of
stone fruits.
butterscotch and that sort of element as well, toffee.
And quite stony. Interesting wine, but lovely, full,
Preserves, yeah,
full
very
rich sort of texture. And it sort of reminds me back to this first wine,
Yep.
and this wine had a fuller, richer texture. This one sort of seems to maybe just carry off that richness a little
bit better?
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit better,
yeah,
carries it. All right,
yep.
let's see where that's from. That's a nice wine. That's Rudy Pickler, 09 Riesling from the Wachau, and it's Federspiel. So Federspiel is their sort of first step up into sort of more extended ripeness.
Right, okay.
So yeah, nice work, Rudy.
Yeah.
So it's labelled Trocken. So that's dry. It's Austrian. The Wachau is so beautiful. If you haven't been there, boys, you have
Absolutely.
to go. It is the complete
Definitely on the
storybook
list.
wine region. One of the most beautiful wine regions to visit. So we're pouring number 6.
The lucky last.
Wow.
Hey, that's got like diesel and
Tobacco, sort of like.
tobacco. Yeah, that's complex. Bit of reduction, like a bit
Yeah,
of.
definitely. That's what I was thinking, right? Yeah. I'm just going to open up in the glass.
That's pretty complex.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's interesting. Another thing, because a lot of people with Australian Riesling, we hear about kerosene in Riesling, and is
Yeah.
that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And some people think that it's
great,
fantastic, and a lot of people think it's
Hate it, yeah.
really, really bad. It's one of those, real polarizers. You don't
Yeah.
get too many people going, oh yeah, I don't mind it. They're always one way or the other.
Personal taste.
Yeah, it works in this wine. It's sort of
Absolutely.
diesely.
Do you think
Cool.
those types of characteristics are a fault, or do you think they're just something that happens to some Rieslings and not others?
I don't think it's a fault. I think it's something that will happen in certain
Development
regions
issue.
and in certain vintages in certain regions.
Okay.
And it's like anything in wine, Paul. I reckon balance is the key. And a bit of that character I don't mind, but if it goes way over the top and that's all you get, then maybe I'd get bored with it in a glass, or
Yep.
wouldn't want to have a second glass.
Yeah.
Anyway, this wine's pretty. Let's talk about the texture of this wine. I can't get past smelling it. It's
Yeah,
really very
it's
good.
got some action there. I'm a bit nervous about the vintage of it today. Like, it might be a little bit forward, but
So you know what the vintage is?
well, looking at the lineup, it's not going to be an old wine, I don't think.
I love the acidity. I love the roundness. I love the sort of the harmony and the completeness.
Visceral. It's got a little bit of glycerol and sort of almost a sweetness coming from the yeast rather than just that fruit sweetness that we see in Aussies a lot.
Yeah.
Really lovely backbone of acid. I like the acid behind it.
It cleans up, doesn't it? So it gives you this massive textural ride, and then
Yeah.
at the end, the acidity just comes along and goes, all right, we'll just tidy that all up,
Fix it up.
and leaves the palate very fresh. All right, so let's have a look at this wine. And that is Georg Breuer, Berg Schlossberg, 2008.
Stunning.
So that's the Rheingau.
What vintage one?
2008.
Hey.
And the 08's pretty tidy, and acidity in the 08 German wines has been a real feature.
Yep.
All right, so
Pretty interesting lineup we've had there.
yeah,
Who said German wines can't be dry and textural?
Yeah.
Not
It's-
just sweet
Giving
fruit
it,
wines.
it's really an evolving story, isn't it, that wine?
so what was nice about this tasting is the sort of threads we can draw together, like similar sort of shapes, but different characters based on soil. That I thought really looked like a Clare Valley wine. This wine was sort of more playing in this sort of territory, but maybe without the sort of the acid structure and
Yep.
and
Finesse, maybe?
yeah, behind it to sort of carry it all off.
Yeah.
But nice to see those savoury styles, and nice to see a whole lot of different textural variations.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
Riesling's really, you can get a lot of different things out of Riesling, can't you?
I love it.
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks a
That
lot
was
for your
awesome.
time.
All right.
That's excellent.
Thanks,
Thank
boys.
you.